Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. This is episode 107. Just a reminder to please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and other platforms, and also subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. On today's episode, we are focusing on relationships. I know a lot of you really tend to gravitate towards these episodes, so I am excited to be able to deliver, and hopefully we can help some people out there and see where we can take it from there. So yes, relationships are key, whether they're with a partner, like a love relationship, or a friendship or family relationships. Relationships are key. We're going to focus kind of on the romantic aspect of it, but I will shut the hell up and bring on my guest because she truly is the expert. So get ready to join us on our fun little adventure. And with that being said, I would like to bring on my guest, Sacha Knop. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Well, I'm
so nice to be here.
Yes, I am very excited. I know that I had gotten some of your emails. This is how I found you, from Soulwise Academy. And I kept seeing some of your blogs, and I thought, wow, this woman really is kind of, digging into things that that are very applicable to a lot of people. And I know I didn't mention it, but tell them, like, you're an authenticity coach, you're an energy expert, along with a soul reader. So you're like a jack of all trades. So yeah, she is an expert. This isn't just a woman coming on claiming to be a relationship person. She actually is. So so let's take it from there. One of the things that was in one of your blogs and that we spoke about when we spoke offline was self-confidence in relationships. And where it's whether you're in one or dating. So let's talk about the importance of that.
Yeah, so the core of all my work really starts with how you relate to yourself. So authenticity within yourself, self-love, and self-acceptance rather than self-judgment automatically leads to self-confidence. And so when people come to me for either a soul reading or, like having things fixed in their energy body, or they want to return to their authentic self because other things in their life are a problem, or, a relationships is a problem, they keep getting into the same things. We usually start with getting them back into their own authentic power and love and self-love. And the truth of the matter is, when you're in your power, when you're in your self-acceptance, when you truly love yourself, it is quite easy to attract someone with a similar energy. Mm-hmm. If you're very low in self-confidence, if you're very nervous on the inside, if you're insecure, you're going to attract someone who is similar. And this automatically leads to toxicity, because toxic people, and I know that's one of the subjects that you wanted to talk about, toxic people are very insecure deep down. Mm-hmm. They might show that they're real confident, but deep down they're very insecure. That's why they need all the attention. That's why they need to be in control. That's why they need to manipulate others, because they themselves don't feel worthy. And so, it's interesting to me when I have done soul readings over the years, when you read people who have come out of toxic relationships, each and every person that has come out of a toxic relationship has kind of like a weak foundation within themselves. And the first thing I do is fix that foundation. And so when you fix the foundation, all of a sudden that person starts to make sense to themselves again. They start to feel themselves. They start to feel like, oh, hey, I remember this from a long time ago. This is how I used to be. This is how I used to feel.
Yes.
And so, does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. And, because I think a lot of people, and, I've been guilty of it myself, we tend to attract the same types of people. So you get out of one relationship and you think, okay, this person lacked communication skills, and I just felt like I couldn't fully communicate properly with them, or I was, walking on eggshells if I wanted to have a serious conversation. And then you're like, well, I'm not going to do that again. And then boom, you're attracted to somebody, and then you start up that conversation. You're like, wait a second. Like, how am I not attracting people with good communication skills? Let's use that for an example. But people tend to do that. Like,
Yeah, and it's
like
because
that.
you haven't changed. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
It's because you haven't changed, and most likely the pattern will get worse because you've gotten out of a relationship, you got a little bit damaged in that relationship because you're disappointed, or your insecurity, you feel rejected or like a failure. And so you then go into a new relationship with all those traits on top of the ones that you already had that attracted the previous one. So it gets worse and worse and worse, and therefore the pattern gets worse and worse and worse. And so it's actually really vital that you fix yourself. And the thing is, a lot of people do a lot of self-help books, and they kind of, and there's a lot of good about that. Obviously, there's a lot of good information in that, but it's the same as having an operation. If you're a doctor, you can't do it yourself. Someone else will have to help you with it.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. And I'm not saying it so that people come to me. I'm saying it because I actually really mean that it's really sad. There's such a huge market out there for self-help books, and it's great because it opens you up to, hey, maybe I should change.
Yeah.
But if you don't change all the way to the depth of it, you only change the first bit and you leave the root of that problem, guess what's going to happen? It's just like the weeds, if you cut it off at the top, the roots grow deeper and the weeds come back stronger over time. And so your pattern might disappear for a few months and you think, oh, I fixed myself, great. And then 6 months down the road, something happens and boom, that pattern comes way back up. And that's because you didn't go all the way to the bottom. And I think that's the power of my work. We go all the way to the bottom. We go to the core of the problem. So we don't look at the top of the flower. We don't look at the leaves. We go all the way to the root and we take it out by the root. But just like any other weeds anywhere else, it might come back. And so I also give people the tools to keep on top of the weeds. So as soon as it starts to come up, you recognize it and you can work with a tool that kind of then eliminates or kind of like balances that out. You can never fully eradicate certain patterns. If you are prone to, if you're a good person, you're prone to always see the good in people. You'll always be prone to attract toxic predators. That's just the truth of it. I describe this in my masterclass. I don't know whether you ever listened to it. In my masterclass, I describe it as follows, and it's one of the things that I've seen in a soul reading a long time ago, which is how I came to use it as an example that clearly explains it. Toxic people are not inherently bad. They're just different types of people than, like maybe you and I. Now, if you see a toxic person as a crocodile, and I might be a deer and you might be a horse, something different, then you and I will always be a prey to the crocodile. And it's up to you and I to stay away from the crocodile. The crocodile in itself is not doing anything wrong with trying to eat us. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense. So the question is, how do you recognize the crocodile?
Wow. It starts with, how do you recognize yourself first? If you don't know who you are, you don't know who to mix with, so to speak, deep down. So again, I'm going back to, and this is going to be the core of our story today, I'm going back to, know thyself. It's such an important thing that you know who you are, that you know what your needs are, and that you do not muffle those needs under the carpet. And that's key, because once you start adjusting because you like the crocodile, say,
Right.
you meet someone, you like them, and you think, oh, they're not exactly what I was looking for, but they're so handsome or so funny or so this and the other. And you start mediating, then you're already down the wrong path. So you have to be able to instantly know that, okay, I'm sensing that this is one of those dangerous people that really aren't good for me. And you're going to have to walk away. And the truth of the matter is, if you are more attached to wanting to have a relationship with a beautiful guy or girl, and you're not enough anchored in loving yourself and respecting yourself and honoring those things, you're going to go for what means the most to you, which is, I want to have a relationship. And so you're going to step into it, and you're going to avoid all the red flags that you do. People always have felt it. When they come into my training, we go over all the red flags that they saw in the beginning, and they just don't listen to it. And that's because they're not connected enough to themselves to continue to respect themselves. Their want for a relationship is stronger, and so that's the first thing they're going to go for. It's no different from losing weight or going to the gym or,
Yeah.
kind of whatever you want the most is what you're going to be doing. Quitting smoking, same thing. If it's die or smoking, you're going to go for, okay, I'm going to quit smoking because I don't want to die, because that's more important.
Yeah.
So we base all our decisions on deep down our beliefs and what's most important to us. And if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you deep down truly believe, if you don't know what you need, then really you're in no place to make decisions about, what suits you, right?
Yeah, no, this makes complete sense. So the thing is, I want to go back to the needs part, where everyone can
Yes.
sit there. And if you're, having a conversation with, your guy friends, if you're a guy, or your girlfriends, if you're a girl, or vice versa, and you can easily because you're friends, there's not this emotional fear of rejection. You can easily say, well, this is what I need in a relationship. Like, I need somebody who's going to communicate.
Oh,
I
I'm
need
talking about a
somebody
whole
who
different set of needs. I'm talking about a whole different set of needs.
Oh, okay. So let's get in it. Because when I hear your needs, because my needs would be communication, gifts on holidays are important to me, affection. So it's like, how do you express those needs without sounding needy?
I wouldn't express them. I would just ask questions to that person and see what the answers are, and then make up
Can you
my
give an
mind
example?
about so your needs, the needs that you just asked me about, are different from the needs that I meant before. So we'll
Yes.
go back to the needs that I meant. You're talking about a first date. You're on the first date, or you're meeting a new person, and you're trying to figure out who that person is, right?
Huh?
Um, I don't know. For me, I'm just going to stick to how that works for me.
Yeah.
I always know at the first sight whether that person is going to be good for me or not. I know in my gut feeling will tell me, oh, this person is a shark, or is or a
And
crocodile, but
how
that's
does that
because
gut
I'm
feel?
connected to myself. It's a feeling.
Like a pit in your stomach when you get kind of nervous or anxious. Like I
Yeah,
feel.
you just know. You just know. It's no different from standing in the supermarket and you feel someone staring at you. Is
Yeah.
that kind of feeling. It's kind of like a feeling of like, oh, you know, that person is sexy and attractive, and I know he's flaky, or it's the first gut instinct, and that is always there. And listening to that is what most people never do.
And it
And
would
then
save you
their
a
mind
lot of
starts.
time.
Sorry?
It would save a lot of time if we did. So let's
Yeah,
go back to
because
that, because I want to be very specific for people that are listening, right? Because sometimes you don't want to get hurt again. You want the next relationship to be the relationship, right? So is it that feeling because you're scared of getting hurt again, or is it that feeling because this person's wrong? How do you decipher that feeling so you're not running away from somebody that could perfectly be it, just because you yourself are afraid that you don't want to go through a breakup again?
Well, this is a difficult question to answer because, you're not in this situation. So it's difficult for me to feel what's going on. If I'm working with a client and they ask me this question, I can feel the truth that is there, but we're speaking hypothetical now.
Yes.
So I'll try my best to answer your question.
Thank you.
You were saying, how can I figure out what's what, right?
What is nerves and what is gut?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked this because I just thought about discussing this last night with a client who is in the process of buying a house, and there are several houses there, and I did a reading for her, and none of those houses were good. There was an option D that she needed to look at. So there's a complete new option there, and she found that option like 2 days after I did the reading for her, and then the doubts crept back in. So, similar situation, only you want to know how that works in relationships. I'm correct, right? I'm explaining that correctly.
Because we're gonna keep the relationship focus for this episode.
Yes. So I told her that when she is connected to herself and when she is well connected to herself, she will know that if there's a doubt, it's something that she needs to find out. Right? So for you, if you like someone, but there's this little niggling doubt going on, I would suggest go and, research it. Research that doubt. Figure out whether that doubt is true. Be honest about it. Like, hey, I'm doubting that you're right for me. Or I'm doubting whether you're honest. Or but you trust yourself on the fact that there's a doubt there. And that doubt is a message from your inner being saying, hey, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
You say research doubt, and you brought up those points. I doubt, when you say research, you can't find that online. So you have to research it with that person.
Yes, with that person. Yeah. I mean, so if let me give you an example from my own life. I was in a relationship with a very, very handsome man. And I knew from the beginning he was not going to be right for me. But I kind of felt like, bring it on. It was almost like I wanted to graduate from the school of toxicity, so to speak. And so every time he told me a lie, I would just say, I think you're lying. And, he would try and persuade me. And I said, no, I'm going to trust myself. I'm pretty connected to myself. I think you're lying. And so this kept going on. I wouldn't fight about it. I didn't try and get him to agree with me. I would just say it and stick to my point because I'm a confident person. I know who I am. If I sense it, a dishonesty there, it's usually there, as my experience. 3-4 months in, he confessed. He said, I've never met anyone who is capable of seeing through every single lie that I've told. It's incredible. Your intuition is amazing. Yeah. And he'd actually fallen in love with me because I could see through him so well and didn't make a big fuss about it. Yeah. That's what I mean with researching. You trust yourself, you put the point down, and you leave it be. But what most insecure people will do is they'll be persuaded by the other person. So they'll do something, a doubt comes up, they then start thinking about it rather than expressing it. And when you express something, you release it. You've said it. It's out there. You've acknowledged it, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're well connected to yourself, when the other person then starts to persuade you, you can feel whether they're telling the truth or not. You don't need proof. You don't need to go and investigate. You're going to trust yourself. The problem is most people don't have that kind of connection with themselves. They don't have that kind of trust in themselves. Successful people usually do, like really successful people or successful in relationships, they do have that kind of solid foundation. it's not because they're lucky or whatever. It's just because they haven't had, the same energy patterns. They were not born with the same energy patterns as other people.
Yes.
They might know themselves better, and so they have a better way to pick someone, and obviously if you've gone through traumatic stuff in your childhood, that could really relate later on to having problems in relationships. And so if none of that gets fixed, then you might forever have problems in your relationships. This brings me to did we talk about therapy last time and how that's a good thing, but very often it's incomplete? I'm not going to make myself popular with this topic.
Well, we're going to pretend we didn't talk because we're live. Well, we're not live, but we're pre-recorded for the show. But let's talk about therapy.
Yes,
a lot of people go to therapy to help, kind of heal those childhood trauma wounds where all our issues seem to start from.
Yes, and your mom and dad are the first example of a relationship. So you're either gonna, if they have a solid relationship, then that might make it easier for you. Or if they're not, you might be able to bounce back from it and do it better. You can also see, like, oh, I don't want a relationship like that, or like what I saw with my.
Yeah, and my thing is too, is like my parents have an amazing relationship. They've always had an amazing relationship. But for some reason, like for me, I just have doubts when it comes to relationships. Like, I see that they are such a great example. My brother has a great relationship, but for me, it's like, do they really work out? Is it really meant to be? You know what I mean? So maybe maybe I'm realizing that I'm more insecure than I thought. I thought I was pretty confident, but I guess I have insecurities around relationships. So thank God we connected.
I wouldn't say you're insecure at all. I think you're quite secure. I think because it's not continuously maybe not working out in a relationship, you're now becoming insecure in the relationship department.
Bingo.
And I did watch a soul image for you, but I don't know whether you want me to discuss that on air.
Yes, let's be vulnerable. Let's do it. Okay, so what is a soul image?
Okay, so when I do soul readings or when I do a first talk with someone, I tune into their energy because they want a talk with me. I don't do this with everyone that I meet because that's like breaking into someone's energy. So I'm very respectful in that way. But you and I discussed it and I've written it down, so I did my job.
Oh.
So I basically sit down and I ask your soul what you need to know. And then it's like seeing a little video clip, like a cartoon video clip, and your soul shows me an image and I feel what that image means. So I kind of feel that in my body, and so I write that down. And a soul reading is 50 minutes of that, of me explaining the things that are blocked in you, or how you're or why certain things aren't working out and how that's happened and what you can do to turn it around and make it better. So I'm just going to put my notes down here.
All right, I'm excited, you guys. This is me really opening up. Here we go.
It can be a little bit daunting, but I'm just going to go for what I saw. So the first thing you showed me is you did this as if to say, no, you're not coming past this part of me. So it made me feel like you had a shield of protection around your soul, around your deeper part. And it made me feel that you are very good at deciding who sees what from you, what you show and what you do not show. So there's a part of you that is deeply protected and tucked away safely. I'm getting goosebumps just telling you.
Yeah.
But because you have this good protection up, which you might have set up in childhood, I don't know when it started. I didn't go as far as to really investigate. It's just a first setup image. I also feel that because you have that shield around you, that can imprison that deeper part of you. It kind of boxes you in on a certain level, emotional level. And it made me feel like I couldn't breathe. Like I don't have that part of me protected. I'm all out there. I think is necessary for my job to be all out there energetically, emotionally, in any way. So I don't have a lot of secrets, so to speak. But I really felt that deep down, you boxed yourself in. So it started out as a safety measure, but now you've boxed yourself in. And what you really need, I think, in order to have a great or better relationship than what you've had so far, is liberation on the soul level, to kind of free that part that you are protecting. And you spoke about that earlier, I think. So you don't want to get hurt again.
Right. So you protect yourself, and it's kind of like, you're on the surface, but I can, I'm a strong woman. I'm a businesswoman, and I'm excited about my work, and I love my work. And, but for me, it's like, I guess in relationships, it's really like surface. Like, it's not, oh, I feel this way, or I feel this way. It's kind of like, this is really interesting to me. Let's talk about cryptocurrency, like it's kind of, it makes complete sense. It is this protection of like, I'm not going to show you the vulnerable side of me. I'm going to show you the successful and powerful side, because that's my confidence,
And, like, if I ever am going to do a soul reading for you, then I would want to work on blending those two together, because it's boxed in, you will attract people that want the successful side that you're showing. But, because you're not, first and foremost showing that other side that really needs fulfillment from a relationship, right? That's the side that actually wants to be in a relationship. The successful businesswoman doesn't need a relationship.
Hell no.
It's exactly. But that's the part that you're showing. That's the part that you're kind of sending out there. So that's what you're, resonating back from. So that vulnerable part,
that makes sense.
It comes in later, and then it doesn't match with that relationship. So the biggest person that's in the way of a great relationship is you. Not on purpose, but because you're protecting yourself. And when you protect and protect and protect, at some point that is going to work against you, because now you're keeping yourself so close that what makes you special is your spontaneity, is your, is that beautiful part that is vulnerable. That's what makes you feminine. That's what makes you different to a man, right? Or, I don't know. Are you into men? I don't know.
I am. I wish I was into women, because I can figure them out easier. But I'm into men.
Okay, nowadays, important question to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Can't tell.
So last time when you and I spoke, when we, we're deciding whether we're going to do this interview, when I hung up with you, I had this feeling, that same feeling that I couldn't breathe. I'd written it down, like, I felt like I can't breathe, but I hadn't looked at it. And so today, when this image came up and I went back through my notes, I thought, oh yeah. And I'd written down last time that you don't show that part at first, but that's why I felt it at the end of the call. So that makes sense as well. So that would be my advice to you, is to throw out the fear of getting hurt, because I think you're getting hurt because you're protecting yourself. You're getting hurt because you don't want to get hurt, and because you're not showing all of yourself to other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I think, like, with the relationships, like, it's hard to kind of put yourself out there, because nobody wants to be rejected. But I also do comedy, so I'm a pro rejection. I'm like, bring it on.
You are, but you aren't, because I feel like you are, but then in that vulnerable part, it does hurt you.
Of course.
Yeah. So you wouldn't need protection if there wasn't that fear to get hurt. You wouldn't need that shield. Now, I totally agree. Sorry.
Yeah, that is true.
So, if you, everybody struggles with rejection. Nobody likes rejection. End of story. It will always be a difficult thing.
Of course.
You know, nobody likes to be booed, and nobody likes to hear that they're not the person for that person. But I really, the soul imagery that other people have shown me, and I'm coming back to the animal comparison because it's easy. It's much easier if that other person would say, "Hey, I'm an eagle and you're a deer, and this is just not going to work out." That would not be rejection. That would just be, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. We're both different."
Yes, exactly. Right.
But because we're all looking as humans, it becomes personal. It becomes like, well, why am I not the person for you? But that's never a good question. It's better to just, kind of look at it in that perspective of, okay, if I was this and he's that, or if you were a turtle and he is a dog, then that doesn't work out. Or a
Yeah.
dolphin and a lion,
And I always
kind
tell
of.
friends when they have this, like, when they have this conversation, I don't really have it. If somebody doesn't want to be with me, I'm like, whatever. Like, I have no hard feelings. Just not there, just not for me. And I thank them and I love them even more, like as a human soul, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you just saved me so much time.
Yes,
Like,
that's the way to look at it.
I
That
tell
is
my
the way to look
friends,
at
yeah,
it.
I'm like, when somebody doesn't call you back or doesn't seem interested, they're doing you the biggest favor in the world, because they would just waste your time. And so if they're actually honest with you and tell you like, hey, this isn't a fit or this isn't the time, you're like, wow, like my respect for that person went up even more.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh my gosh, you're saving me so much time. And in my industry, I don't have time to waste. And I'm also getting older, so I really don't have time to waste. But that's another story.
That's true. And that's really true. I totally agree with you. I have no problem with, someone saying, I'm just not feeling the spark. It's like, hey, cool. Thanks very much. Great meeting you. And because I see so many souls of men and women, I see so much the deeper part that gets damaged in love relationships. I think it's really important that we let each other down gently, and that that you can be courteous in the whole process of letting go and moving on to the next person and trusting that someone better is going to come along. But it starts with becoming the best version of yourself. Really what all my work is about. Every reading that I do helps you get better. Every training that I do, whether it's the 8-week training or the year training, they help you become stronger connected. They rebuild your foundation, and therefore it's easier for you to bounce back.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's was there anything else that came up that you wanted to share with me before I switch gears to more general?
No, I the image that
And I
usually
think
the
you
image.
nailed it. It's true. I mean, that vulnerable part of me, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be like, this weak little damsel in distress, but everybody has that in them. It's because I come off so tough and strong that people are like, shit, this girl doesn't need anybody. She's trying to take over the world. Like, she doesn't need
Exactly.
anything.
And the thing is, men, I was talking to a male friend last week when I picked up my puppy. And he was saying, men just want to be needed.
Yeah.
Men, like the type of man that I think you and I are seeking are men that want to protect that vulnerable part, that want to see that fragile is maybe the wrong word, but that when you look at someone and you can tell that they're showing you the part that can break, you instantly want to protect that. If I was a man, I would instantly want to scoop that person up and protect it, and it kind of brings that male sort of like energy out in them. But if you're sitting there all tough and he's going to think, oh, she's she doesn't need anyone. Well, why would she need me? So that could potentially, and I haven't looked deeply into you obviously to confirm that, but that could potentially put a good candidate off.
Totally, because I could be intimidating. But that, let's take it away from me and let's apply to everybody
Sure.
else. And hopefully you guys all resonated with that, because you might have that same situation that's going on with me. And please feel free to reach out. We can talk about it together. But the thing is the need. Okay. So there's this big conflicting thing going on in the world, and I love it and I hate it. Okay. So
Okay.
we are human beings, right? So
Mhm.
we're all God's children is what I believe, right? But we've got females and we've got males. Great. Now, the male has always kind of been the protector, the provider, things like that. The women are the whatever. We're the best, right? No, I'm just kidding. Well, we do what we do. We're the nurturers, right? That's the word.
Mhm.
So, but because finally we women are finally equal and can be better and stronger and just, that. So how do you, as a strong woman, because that's the gift that God gave me, and I would never dim that light for anyone, because there's
Oh,
some
and you shouldn't.
like ever, I'd rather be alone and let my light shine and help other people. But for women that are strong, because I know a lot of strong, very successful women, like, why is it that, not that they have I don't even know how to ask this, but like, why
I
can't
know
men,
where you're going, though.
you know where
I
I'm
know where
going?
you're
Why
going.
can't men just like not be such babies? And you know what I mean? Like, why are they intimidated by strong, successful women? And how do we change
Um, well, I'm not a man, so I don't know where I can answer that question. Um, I think, let me just say what I hear when I'm on a date with someone. Men usually say it's so easy to talk to me. There's no judgment there. I can listen. Like when I go on a date, I'm not going on the date to kind of wheel the guy in. I'm just going there because I want to have a great time and see where it goes. And of
that?
course, I would like a relationship, but like you, I'm quite good in, I've been a good provider for myself for 25 years. I've had long relationships. I've had a few shorter ones. Yes, I would like to live with someone, but not if that dims my light.
Yes.
But because I know who I am, I don't need to prove it to that man. I don't need to show that man how big and bold and amazing I am. So I'm there to get to know him. I'm there to kind of like, to just have a good time. And so when you take the pressure off, and I actually wrote an article about this called The Art of Waiting. When you take the pressure off and you go there, and this is difficult to explain. So you go there because, yes, you want to date and have a relationship, but you don't know whether that's the guy. You're going to go and find out. It's a bit like shopping. You go shopping because you want new clothes, but you don't know exactly what you want. And so after a day of shopping, if you didn't buy anything, well, it's because you couldn't find what you wanted and because you weren't very clear on what you wanted, right? But it's not a big drama. You're not going there and you have to have the new jeans or you have to have a new dress. You can go shopping the next day or the week after, or go to a different shopping mall or different centers, shops, I mean. And that's kind of like the same way that I go on a date. I go on a date because it's nice to be in male company. It's nice to be treated well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Um,
I know,
uh,
I know.
but also, I don't have judgment on men. I think men have it really tough in this, in all the changes that are going on. Like women are coming up like superwoman everywhere. And so
Yeah.
it must be really threatening. It must be, if I was a guy, I would be quite scared of a lot of women, I think, who are out there and who are like rolling up their sleeves and,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's not easy to be a man right now because you can't be old and you can't be the old traditional way because they might feel
That's
offended.
it.
You
Yeah.
can't. You can't. Some people will want you to pay all of it, and other people want you to do the half thing. I mean, it must be very confusing, and I think women have had more need to develop themselves because we were so suppressed,
Yes.
because we were supposed to stay at home and watch the kids. So we have had to do that. Men haven't had to do that. Have you ever gone through some sort of growth that you didn't actually need to go through? Because exactly, so we kind of like develop ourselves because we want something. Well, men wanted it to stay the way it was because they were pretty happy that way, right? So I actually can imagine, because I can also feel the emotional deeper part of men when I'm on a date. So I can feel whether they're nervous, I can feel whether they're excited, I can feel whether they like me or not, right? That's the
Yep.
soul reader in me. I can, I don't need to have a conversation with them to know whether they like me.
That's a great
For,
skill.
for
I mean, gosh, I'm sure everybody's going, oh my gosh, I wish I had that skill. But yeah, for me, it's like what you had kind of said was interesting because it kind of brought up that box thing, right? So I'm like the funny girl and I like to have fun and I consider myself, smart and, I'm up to a lot of cool things and it brings just so much joy and excitement. So I come off like maybe to some people like, oh, this is a really strong girl. She doesn't need anybody. But then at the flip side, so even though I'm coming off as like, yeah, I can take care of myself. I'm a badass woman. The other side of me, but I still have that side where I'm like, no, I want the car door to always be open for me. I want the door to be open for me. I want flowers. I want the romantic part. But
exactly.
I don't know how to show that because I'm also like the cool chick, you know?
Well, so that might be real confusing for men. And
Very,
so,
it's confusing for me. You know what I mean?
but this is what goes back to what I said at the start. Everything I do is making sure you inside out, what you like, what you don't like, and you can show that. And
Uh-huh.
then you can let the man decide whether he can take that on. But because that part of you doesn't come in until later, you're kind of giving it's like buying half a dress. It doesn't work, right?
They buy the fun party part. They're like, where's the vulnerable part? Where's the female part?
Exactly. So you're kind of showing half of yourself to that person. So how can they also know who you are? And
Yeah.
mind you, men are not as there's no need that they're equipped differently. They're very, very sensitive deep down, just like women are.
Oh,
And
for
very
sure.
often they want the same things,
Yeah.
but it comes in a different package. It comes in a different package with different words and different gestures and different
So,
behaviors.
and this is all great, and like there's so many relationship experts and things out there, but my belief and what I've always, but this isn't for everybody, this is me being
Right.
a Christian and a lover of God and Jesus. I always just said to myself, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to take care of what I can control. I'm going to be the best me. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make my dreams come true. I'm really good to people. And if it's meant for my higher good, Jesus will drop the guy on my doorstep. The perfect guy.
Yes.
The guy for me. Nobody's perfect, but the perfect one for me. So I took all that pressure right off my shoulders. And I said, I trust Jesus and I trust you to take me on my best path forward. And so that's how some people also might operate as well. So that's for me, it's like I didn't want to, I my friends who were like, oh, I'm reading these books on how to be more feminine or how to, not be so masculine. And I'm like, how about you just trust the Lord to bring you what's best for you? So it's a confusing thing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. And if you really followed that, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, I want
You
it
wouldn't
for
be
my
having all those
listeners. This
questions.
is a podcast. Yeah.
I know. But
I'm like, this
the
isn't
thing
for me.
is,
This just got a little personal here. But
the thing is, that is true. That I can definitely agree with, trusting life to bring you what you need.
Mhm.
But life or God, however you want to call it, I like to call it the universe or life.
Yeah.
I am definitely believe in God, but I don't practice religion maybe the way that you would do it as a Christian.
Okay.
But I venture into many religions because I'm
Yeah,
curious and I want to see what
absolutely.
fits me.
Yeah.
Um, but if you would truly trust life to bring what you needed, then you would never worry about this part. And the truth is, most people will say that, but they actually deep down don't believe it. It's true.
You just,
So
it is true. I think you just nailed it on the head. It's like part of you does believe it and trust it, but then there's another part that maybe has some doubt. So that's where the anxiety comes in because you're just not sure how it's totally going to unfold. But I'm going to work on that and, put my full faith and trust in the Lord or the universe, whatever people believe, and see if that makes a difference.
Oh yeah, I mean that usually is connected to if there's a break in your foundation, if there's a feeling of unsafety deep down inside of you, then that will keep coming up. It's like a vase that has a crack at the bottom. You can fill it up with water and the water would be trust, but it'll seep through,
Yes.
right? And so that would, once it seeps away, the doubt arises again and you're going to have to refill it again. But that's a continuous process unless you sort out that crack deep down. So
Yeah.
this is why it's hard for me to explain, because it all comes down to the vessel that you are, whether you can receive and hold on to the things that you think you believe or say you believe. Very often there are deeper layers of beliefs there that we act upon that we're not aware of because we don't know ourselves. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. So because we could talk for 5 hours. This is
I
just
know.
interesting. So there's some other questions I kind of want to get through. And again, like don't pin them towards like me necessarily. I want to make sure
Okay.
everybody's gaining something out of this, like all the listeners that can learn. One of the questions I think that is important. Obviously, we covered like how to attract the right partner. First of all, be yourself, know yourself inside and out, and open the box inside and be vulnerable. Excellent. Right. So
Can I
that
add one thing to that?
yeah.
Because one thing, next time I don't know whether you're in a relationship or not actually, but
I'm
right
not
now,
right
but
now.
well, next time you go on a date, be the person that you are with your best friend. Because with your best friend, you would be vulnerable. You would show your real self, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Try and be that person on your next date when you feel that person is worthy of you showing all of that. Obviously, if you instantly think no, that person is not right, don't go and practice it. But I would like to see the response from your next date or hear from you,
Una
whether you
homework.
when you go there on with that not protected sort of like part of you, with that vulnerable part of you not boxed in. I'm trying to
Right.
say,
It totally
yeah.
makes sense. Okay, so this leads to the next question, right? This is like this burning question. I've screwed it up so many times. When do you sleep with somebody? Because for me, I want to wait till I'm in a relationship because
Right,
the comedian's coming out of me. It's called the power of the pussy. You got to
right,
learn to own it. You know what I mean? But if you give it up too
right.
soon, so how do you know? It's such a confusing thing and how to have that conversation. So don't talk to me, talk to the audience. When do you?
Well, I would say for anyone, um, you would have to, I would wait until I, know someone better. I don't know whether I'm an expert on this topic,
That's
but
what.
I have an opinion and I
Yeah.
have rules that I live by. And so I don't sleep with people on the first date ever because I'm super sensitive. So if I would make love with someone, I would make love with their energy as well. So it's a very, very deep experience. And I think it's better, just like, do you have cheap takeaway, or do you go and have a nice meal? I go for the nice meal always because the experience is better and is less empty when you can wait until maybe the third or the fourth or the fifth date at least. Like if you spend reasonable
Well,
amount of
shouldn't you
time with
really
someone.
be, yeah, and for me, it's like, I want to wait till I'm in a committed relationship. I say that and it's great, but then it's like you hang out with somebody and then you do exactly what you weren't supposed to do, what you didn't want to do, and then it's all fun and games. Then you're like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And it's that constant like, I should have.
Well, I think many people do this.
Yeah,
And I think it comes down to that you think that if you're going to say that you want to wait, you're going to lose that partner. That's one option. So if you're going to play hardball and you're going to say, I don't want to sleep with you until we're in a committed relationship, you might deep down secretly believe, not you, when I say you, I mean, everyone maybe, that that person is going to run. And so
yeah.
you're gonna
Most people
sleep
think
with
that.
them. Yeah. Well, yeah.
They just want to be
If
the
that's what
people.
he does, then he was never after you in the first place.
Exactly.
So
True.
for me, that comes down to you sticking to your guns. Like I said, if you're confident and you know yourself and you know what's good for you, then you're not going to do that because you're going to come out thinking, I wish I hadn't done that. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel good. It wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, and da 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 da. And so then you start feeling rejected, and then the whole kind of like pattern comes up again. So I think it
Exactly.
depends per person, but I would suggest definitely wait until you've had a good few dates in and you actually feel that you can laugh with that person and you feel comfortable and safe with that person, because sex is greatest when you can completely let go, honestly let go, not be good at sex, let go, but also be vulnerable and let go.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you on that. And then I think we covered a lot of this, the confidence and working working on insecurities and things like that. Now, some people still have, and a lot of people have some of this trait. It's a terrible trait. I even think it's a 10 commandment or, one of the 10 sins, jealousy.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How, how do you, like, I'm not really a jealous person, but I've run
Me
into
neither.
that
Yeah,
are.
me neither. It's
Yeah.
not in my makeup.
But a lot of people are. How do people that are listening that feel that jealousy or feel that, how do they stop that and realize that if it's okay, if somebody cheats on you, you should say that's a gift from the universe saying, get that person out of my life versus
Yes,
you might not
yes,
get.
yes, and no. When someone cheats on you, it's okay to feel pain, and
Oh,
it's okay
oh
to be
yeah.
sad, and it's okay to feel betrayed, and it's okay to eventually be able to, to say to yourself, "I'm probably dodged a bullet there." I think
100%.
we
Yeah.
shouldn't push our feelings under the carpet. There's a lot of spiritual positivity out there at the moment that straight goes to, oh, you've been saved, which then skips the whole part that you feel pain and that you feel hurt and you feel betrayed and that you need time to heal those things. Okay.
Okay.
So I would say you need to do all of them. Don't go straight to the part, if you feel hurt, if you feel pain, if you need to voice that somehow in a good way,
Yeah.
then don't skip that part. And at the same time, it's not either or. At the same time, you can also realize or start saying to yourself, okay, clearly this wasn't the right person for me, and I'm going to move on. But it's okay to grieve the loss of that person because you did have dreams, you did have hopes for the future together, right?
Yeah, of course.
I've forgotten your question. What was your question
How
again?
do you get rid of jealousy?
Okay, so do you mean jealousy? So you've been cheated on and therefore you're insecure
Not
in your
no,
next relationship?
not even cheated. That was a very extreme example. You're just like, I have friends or people when we go out and, for example, like we can't do certain things because it just they both get jealous, or, the people will have too much to drink and they see something that didn't exist and then they get jealous. How do people kind of stop?
Okay.
Let's put it this way. How do people stop feeling jealous? Maybe they're feeling a little jealous, like, am I pretty enough? Am I rich enough? Am I handsome enough as a guy? How do they
Well,
not?
you describe it correctly there. I'm going to cut into you. I hope that's okay.
Yeah,
Jealousy is based on insecurity.
right.
End of story. So if you want to fix your jealousy issue, you need to fix yourself first. And
So
most people
everything
are
happens.
just not willing to put in the time and the effort. And actually, my work is quite fast. So you don't need to go into therapy for 10 years to fix it.
Yeah.
It can actually be fixed quite quickly. But it starts with really loving yourself. If you really love and honor and respect yourself and you know who you are, then there is no need for jealousy because you're secure about who you are. And you know, you're a great catch for that guy
Absolutely.
or girl. And so you don't need to focus on other people. Jealousy comes from when you focus away from yourself and you focus on the other person. And instead of just being happy with who you are and making sure that you're the best version of yourself, so that that guy is going to go like, nobody's better than that girl because she's amazing. Look at her radiate and shine and be all happy.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I don't like a jealous guy. I don't like a jealous
Hell
guy.
no. Oh my God.
I'm out of there.
Exhausting.
So, so jealousy needs to get fixed, you know, because it's a common thing. And the more you suppress it, the worse it's going to get. So it's best to just, if you start noticing that you have jealousy issues, for whatever reason, they're not your fault. You know, it's not nobody's fault that you have a certain reaction to something, but go and fix it. Just like you would fix other things in your life. You know, if your drain is, you know, blocked, you're going to go and fix it. You're not going to just suppress it and hope nobody notices, right? It gets worse and worse and worse. It's the same with your feelings and emotions. The problem is most people go into therapy, and therapy very often only fixes one aspect. And this is what I really wanted to get in. Your energy body works in the same way as you would want to try and fix your teeth. If you fix your teeth, you have to fix all of them, and then you have to keep them in place to keep them straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with your energy body. You can't just do a 1 weekend workshop and think it's going to be sorted, because your energy body has been used to being a certain way and it works all together. And so when you fix one thing and you don't fix all the interconnecting things, guess what? A few months later, you're back to square one, because,
Your
you know,
teeth
the rest hasn't. Exactly.
Okay,
And
so let's, because I know like we're approaching our time, but let's how does one fix themselves? And what is, like, tell us about your process really quick, like where we can find you and how long does this take? Because people want to know, they want the answer. How long does it take? Are we talking 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, 4 months?
I would say my 8-week training is a true powerhouse. So that's where you go back to your authentic self. I always say it's a crash course. You've driven in your car, you're in the ditch, you're off the road. The 8-week training, you know, gets you out of the ditch, gets you back behind the wheel, fixes up the car so that you can get going again. You know, you're behind the wheel, you can take charge of your life.
Yep.
So the 8-week training really fixes that foundation that I spoke about earlier. And once that foundation is fixed, usually the rest of the house, you know, the rest of you adjusts and starts feeling secure in every area. It's just a natural result of having a good foundation.
Yeah. So where do people find you to sign up for this if they're interested, or to get a soul reading from you?
So I've got 2 websites. One is for the moving on from toxic love, which is www.soulwise.co.uk. They can watch a free masterclass there. And if you recognize everything in the masterclass, then you absolutely have been through one or more toxic relationships, and you're now potentially toxic towards yourself. And so it's hugely important to fix that, so that you don't keep, you know, being that victim and therefore keep attracting toxic people into your life. And the other website for the soul readings is Sacha-Knop.com. So it's my first and my last name. Sorry?
And all this stuff will be on the Next to Madison website, but go ahead and spell it for people that are just listening.
It's S for sugar, A for anything, C for cow, H for hello, A for anything. I'm terrible at spelling because I'm Dutch.
Doing great.
Hyphen, and then Knop is K for kilo, N for nothing, O for Oscar, P for Papa, .com.
Perfect. Well, this has been amazing. So you guys definitely check it out. We all have our own issues. We all have things in relationships we wish we could change or wish we could fix. And Sacha is so right when she says that it really boils down to how you feel about yourself and your foundation. And obviously some of our foundations get a little broken along the way, and that's perfectly okay. But it's also accepting yourself for your strengths and your weaknesses, and your quirks, and just, do what you can, because you were given this beautiful, amazing life. And if you're struggling and you're not really enjoying life, well, you deserve to enjoy life. So fix the foundation, or do whatever makes you feel happy, but stop worrying about what people think. I think we judge ourselves so much about what people think when people's opinions really don't matter. But we're human. We're all guilty of it. But yeah, in relationships. So yes, on my next date, I've got to be vulnerable. I always think I am vulnerable. I always talk about
be like you would be with your best friend. Be like you would be with your best friend. Because, the thing is, someone who is all of themselves, they're magnetic. They radiate. You walk into a room and everybody will notice you because you're just.
Business, because I'm not worried about my heart being business. So I'm like, hi, how's it going? If somebody's mean to me, I don't take it personal. I go, challenge. And then I go and I'm like, oh, okay, how you doing? So
exactly, that's a really good comparison.
Yeah, my business, like, how you doing? What can I get from you? No, I'm just kidding. How can you help me make money? Oh, you're rich? Perfect. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share your knowledge. And you guys definitely go and check out her websites. Again, all the information is on the nexttomadison.com website. This is episode 107, so you can easily find it. And I thank you all for listening wherever you are, at home, at the gym, outside, who knows, laying in bed. But yeah, thank you so much. And please don't forget to rate and review. It would help me out tremendously. You guys are the best.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.